Okay, so in this video what I'm going to be doing is showing how to build Firefox for Windows 10 and also to make changes to it so that it's not an advert for Mozilla or Pocket anymore, but it's just like a normal browser. So if you want to get the instructions, first if you just go to my site at Mac PC Zone, and then if you just look for this sort of compile Firefox on Windows 10, another way to get to it is it should be in this list, because I don't put too many things on here. So now if you just go in there and have a list of sort of information that essentially what I use in order to do the build. So the first thing we do is go to this FTP site. Well, it's a website, and this Mozbuild, you see there's a latest one which is 4, but I've read on a forum where they said that there's something wrong with the latest build, and I think it doesn't work well on Windows 10. So the best one to get is this 3.4. So if you download that, and I think I've already got, you can see I've been doing some downloads. Yes, so if you download the 3.4, and as you can see it's quite big, so when you're doing this, that's the other thing, is when you're doing this you better make sure you actually have a reasonably fast internet connection, because if not it will take ages, or it'll take quite a few hours, because it does need to download a lot of files. So once that's completely run there, so we just install it. And also, because you're compiling something, you want to make sure it's on a machine that's fast as well, because if your machine is too slow, that's going to take hours as well. So this is something that you only really do if you've got a machine which is modern enough to give you a reasonably fast compile time. Because the other problem is if your machine is too slow, it will use so much electricity, and with the way things are being, the companies are ripping people off now, you want to use as little electricity as you can. Okay, so that's installed. So once that's installed, we now just have to go to the Explorer. Right, so then if you go to the C drive, you'll see the Mozilla build here. And so then what you have to do is you want to, yes, you need to just start the shell. So you just double click on it, and it will open a shell. And this message is just because I've got Git set up. Alright, so now just get these instructions. Okay, so then you just go into the Mozilla source. And the good thing about this is actually a bash shell, so you won't have weird stuff going on. So now we're in there. The next thing you need to do is we need to get the Visual Studio 2019. So don't bother getting the latest version, because Microsoft always likes to break stuff in the newer versions. So this one worked on Windows 10. So this is the one you should get. Make sure it's got the 16 at the end. And then if you, oh yeah, it just starts by itself. So if you run the installer, and continue. Right, so now when it comes to this part's important, because if you get this wrong, the build won't work. Now I think I've selected this list here I've selected too many items, but the thing is, because I'm not going to sit there and do a build, trying each one at a time, this is what I found when I selected it works. The only thing is that because there's so many items, it's going to take a long time to download. So let me just go through. So you don't need any of this nonsense. So we just want compilers. So we want the redistributable MSMs, and then you can just get the latest each time. So C++. Yeah, you gotta make sure to always get the latest one. So it can be a bit annoying having to go. Yeah, so this one, latest. And remember, we're only developing for Windows. Right, so we want the build tools. Yes, you want the ATL plus. Yeah, and this is for x86-64. And then you want the MFC as well. x86-64. Yes, it's very confusing, but of course if you built a program using Visual Studio, you'll know what all this means. But I think there's one thing I missed, that's right. So you see here, it's a bit small, but my build was 19041. So the best thing you can do is just make sure to choose the same version as your build of Windows. So the other way to get it is if you go to Start, and then System, and About, and then you see this number, OS build. So OS build, just make sure that this OS build here matches or is as close as possible to what you choose down there. And I think that's it. So let's just check. So this list tells you, so you know if you got it. So we got CLI, build tools, 10SDK, 219 register tool, for VS 2019 build tools. Yeah, I'm missing that. So I've got the ATL and MFC. So I need to somehow find this MSVC 142. Let's see what that is. See, this is why it's better to build on a real Unix operating system, because you don't have to worry about all this nonsense. But because this is Microsoft, oh, looks like I've got it. Oh right, yeah, there's something wrong with my eye. So we've got that. Yeah, Alright, yeah, I think, but here's the thing, notice that the total space required is 8 gigs. So like I say, you better make sure you got a big machine that you're going to do this on. So if you install that, and we don't have to worry about workloads, because we're just trying to build Firefox, not to build the whole of Windows like Microsoft expects you to do. Alright, so that's going to take a while. Okay, so that's it. So the install is finished. Right, so of course we're not going to sign in. So then you just start, and you have to actually run it the first time, because see, this preparing for first use, it sets things up in the system so that programs outside can also build and compile things. And so it's best just to create a new project. Right, and that's it. And so once you're in there, and it lets you click on here, that means it's fully initialized. And now that means you can also run the command line tools. So next thing is you have to turn off the antivirus, because it really does affect performance. And I've got here how you do exclusions, but I mean that's just a bit tedious because the amount of time it takes. The easiest thing to do is just go to virus and threat, and then just manage settings, and then turn off real time. Let's get rid of this sample nonsense as well. And yeah, that should be it. So as long as real time's off, you'll get your performance back. And then also the next thing you want to do, this isn't recommended, but it makes a difference as well. And what you do is go to your whatever your main drive is, and then if you just go into there and go into policies, and now this is turn off write cache buffer flushing. So what that means is that it regularly flushes the write cache to the disk, but as it says here, it allows the device to flush its buffer in case of power. Well, this is talking about the battery. But one thing I'll say for sure, if you turn this on, if you lose power while your computer's in the middle of doing something on the file system, you will get corruption. Because I've seen it, I've had it happen, and it was proper corruption as well, where a load of files just weren't there anymore, or they were corrupted. But it does make a huge difference when it comes to, because this is going to be dealing with a whole heap of files. So next thing you have to do is to get hold of a bundle, and I can tell you for sure that this is a good idea, because you might think just follow the instructions like how Mozilla has it at their site, where you clone it with Mercurial, but I can tell you for sure this Mercurial is slow. And so when you go here to these bundles, what you do is find one which is for the version of Firefox you want. So I've chosen this one, ESR 102, and you've got ESR 115 and all the way down to 68. Or you can just go for the which one? Use Mozilla release. Yeah, so this Mozilla release is the latest release that's out. Because if you go with Mozilla's instructions, you end up with the latest beta. Well, I think the in progress one. So it might have loads of bugs in it. So now we're just going to follow these instructions. As you know, Hg is the chemical symbol for mercury. And believe me, you don't want to get any mercury on your clothes or hands or anything. So I think they could have chosen Oh yeah, actually I forgot. So if we go to that directory we just made, and then the next thing you have to do is you have to unbundle the bundle that. So where we downloaded the bundle, you download it to your desktop somewhere, and it's best to just rename it to something sensible. So I've just named it this, the ESR 102. So to find that, we should just be able to. So that's the home, and then desktop, and then it's just ESR. I'm just using tab to complete the name. Yeah, for some reason it seems like these are extensions. And what seems to have happened is that when you'll see what I mean later on, it's going to ask if I want to add extensions, and I think what's happened is I see what's happened. Because I've deleted it, I think the extensions are put in the registry, and so there's no uninstall. And I suppose this is a problem. There's no uninstall for the Mozilla build tools, and so because it's put these extensions into the registry, when you delete the Mozbuild, then what you find is the registry entries are, of course, point to a non-existent file, and so that's why you get these errors. So I think this is just something that Mozilla obviously couldn't be bothered. And I can tell you for sure, you see how it's coming in with these change sets, which I'm getting from the bundle. If you try to pull this over the internet, even though the file is 2 gigs, the amount of time it takes to pull the change sets is longer, even though it's pulling the same data over the internet. But when it's local on your disk, as this, just as the bundle, it seems like it actually does things a lot faster. Yeah, because this is actually going quicker, but it could also be because I made that change. Because before, when I did it, I did forget to turn off the antivirus at first. And also I didn't do the change of the write caching policy. So I've done both of them this time. Now I have to say, it seems like it's doing things a bit quicker than it did before. So I think that shows for sure that yes, when you're going to be doing this, you really do want to A, turn off your antivirus, and B, make sure that the write cache policy is effectively set to dangerous. You know, just turn the flushing off. We said that this command prompt takes a lot of memory, but I think what it is it's the child process memory. For some reason on Windows, the memory of the child processes get added to the parent. Yeah, so the Python, so the console is only taking 7 megabytes, which is what you'd expect. And of course, the Mercurial is written in Python as well, so when it comes to doing certain things, it's going to lack in performance. But the main reason people code stuff in Python is because of you get these text processing features that they like. Or not just text, but there's other ways in which you can process data. So Python is really a data processing language. But of course, if you get it to do something where the Python itself has to do too many instructions, then it uses a lot of CPU. And yeah, it might seem that this is slow, but this is actually quite fast compared to how it was before. Okay, so this is the part. Yeah, this was the longest part. So before, this did take forever. And so I'll see now, because as you can see, the time is pretty long. So obviously I'm going to jump this part if it really does take this long. And this is kind of related to the, I think, the fact that Mozilla are switching over to use Git rather than Mercurial. And I'm sure the Mercurial's got some nice features in it. But the one feature that isn't nice, of course, is the fact that as these number of files increases, it's just very slow. And let's see if it's good old Python that's doing it. Oh yes, it is, because you see 12%. I mistakenly thought that 12% was 12% of a core, but no. Because you see, I've actually got 8 virtual processors. So the reason why it says 12.5% is because the Python must be using one. Yeah, I'm presuming that's why it's stuck on it. And so yeah, the fact it's stuck on 12.5 makes sense, because if I wrote, see, 12.5 times 2 is 25, and then 4 25s are 100. So yes, so this is what the problem is. It's single threaded and Git is multi-threaded. And so Python, so this Mercurial is single threaded and it uses 100% of one core. So even if you've got a monster machine, once you've got too many files, Mercurial is just slow. It's just pig slow. And why? Because it's using pig Python. And this is the big problem, because it seems to me as if when it comes to Python, multi-threading just doesn't seem to be that easy. Because if it was, then this would just be, they just multi-thread it, add a few threads in. But of course you can't add threads to Python, that makes no sense. So, well, maybe you can, but I don't even know. So before I say something wrong, it looks like you can send threads out, etc. But not much, is it? You think that? I think they need, because threading is very complicated. So I'm surprised that they think you can get away with threads just for that one page. Yeah. So it looks as if when it comes to Python, I think threading is not too hot on it. You know what a thread is. Yeah, so I can see why, obviously, because Mozilla, yeah, for sure. When you're stuck with this one Python running 100% on one core, I can tell you for sure that is Python's biggest problem. I mean, it's trying, but yeah, you can see, as long as it's stuck on that 12.5%, there's nothing you can do. So that means you're going to need some sort of single core monster running at 6 gigahertz for Python to run fast, or Mercurial to run fast. So yeah, and you might have your machine with 128 cores, but Python's completely useless on it. And that's where Git will of course kill it, because Git will try and use the threads. Yeah, some parts of Git are single threaded as well, but it just depends. But when it comes to stuff like the compression, etc., that's obviously multi-threaded. So yeah, so I'm essentially here, I'm experiencing the reason why Mozilla had to get away from Mercurial and go to Git. Okay, so that's done that. So now you just have to carry on with this, because that took a while, as you can see. So the next thing we have to do is just do this HD pull. Right, okay, so I'm just going to get rid of that HD pull from the instructions. So once it's been updated, this part won't be here anymore, because you probably don't need it, because this is probably for a different version of Mercurial. And so as you see, yet again, I'm doing HG update, and notice that it doesn't actually give you a progress. Whereas that's one thing I say about Git, is that whatever you do, you always get progress of some kind. It will tell you something. So it's typical that these Mercurial programmer, alright, fine. It should have said that it's doing something before the update, like looking up server, checking change sets, because Git will tell you stuff like that, whereas the fact it just sits there until it gets to the update. And as you can see, yeah, again, Python, good old 12.5%, as you'd expect. It's using 100% of one core. That's why good old Python, I can see why they will use Python to program things where you're looking up some text and you want to try and find it inside some files. But when you're doing like serious stuff, like cutting your way through a whole load of files, then the Python just doesn't cut it because it's too slow. And the thing is, I've done Git with a lot more files than this, and it's much faster than this. So essentially, you just have to waste too much time using Mercurial. Now, of course, if it was written well, it has to be C++, because C is fast, but the main reason you use C is for low memory. So anything where you don't want to use much memory, you write it in C. If you don't care about memory, then you write it in C++. So because this is complicated, SCM is complicated, you'd write it in C++. And then the threading obviously comes with the compiler or the C standard. So you have a lot more sort of functions you can try in relation to threading. So then you can just speed things up. But with Python, as you saw, you only get one page worth of that you scroll down with the threading stuff. So, I think Python it's like it's a language which is from the 1990s. When computers, people didn't really want to do that much with their computers. Okay, so that's it. So now we should be up to date, and I just want to quickly check it's the right one. Right, so that's a list of the different tags that are available. So I'm going to just presume I'm on the latest one, which is the 102.15 ESR. So, but the reason for doing this this HD tags is to make sure that you've got the right repository, because of course, if you got the wrong one, then this will say something different and it won't say the version in the ESR. So now, the next thing we have to do is it's time to do the sort of chopping. So what we have to do is do a bit of right, so we need to go into where these files are. And so if you go into the C drive, the Mozilla source, and then the Mozilla ESR 102. So now we need to find these files. And I suppose if you've heard of Ungoogled Chromium, then this is an unmozilla'd Firefox that we're doing here. And we're not doing as much. This is just to stop all the spy stuff. So these are the files that, so essentially this piece of preprocessor code, we essentially want to put it at the top of each of these files. So you just got to find each one. I'm sure I could have done this as a patch, but just haven't had time. But of course, if you want to keep getting updates, say like you're on the 1.15 ESR, then yeah, it'd be worth trying to put it into a patch because it'll make it easier. Right, so all we're after is just before anything saying Moz telemetry reporting, we just put this at the top. And so as long as that's in there, then we're good to go. So just save that. So I mean, that's what we have to do, so it's not too bad. Go to the next one. Dom base is free. And the thing is, this NS frame loader, this is like the this is the what looks like one of the main files for when you're loading the page. So this telemetry really is taking all of what's going on. So like I say, just make sure it's below the last include file, because include files contain defines as well. So as long as you make sure your define is underneath the last include file, then it will take precedence over anything else that's that's in one of the other files. All this telemetry, man, they love it, don't they? Okay. Telemetry is the obvious name, isn't it? See there? And defined Moz telemetry reporting. So we're going to put this in. Guess what? Moz telemetry reporting is not defined. And then finally, components. Telemetry. And then loads this telemetry, don't they? They just want to spy and spy and spy. Alright, so that's the thing about it. This might not even be necessary, but what I found is sometimes when you try and make some other changes to the configure, it loves to ignore it. So even if I make a mistake here, these defines don't get activated, you'll know that it's gone because these files have been patched anyway. So regardless of what happens, the telemetry is gone now. The next file we're after is moz.config. Yeah, so this moz.config file, you just have to add it at the end because this is like a configuration. This is the main configuration file. And yes, the reason why I can do this is simply because I sat down and worked out how the Mozilla configuration system works. It uses Python. So all those hours spent or wasted working it out, this is what I finally worked out, how it actually gets the configuration. And it's pretty complicated. I don't even know why. So some of these defines might not even work, but this is just doing this. It's more like a belt and braces approach. So just save that. And the last thing is that there's this file. Yeah, it's a toolkit. So now this time it's toolkit moz.config. Yeah. It's just because I've set configure to open in Notepad. That's the only reason double clicking works. Before I didn't, but so now we just got to find these ones. Alright, so yeah, so what we're doing here, this is just to change some of the defaults. So the default is that the health report is true. So we're going to change that to false. And the thing is, you only have to change it in one place, but I'm just making sure. So I don't know which one. Oh yeah, this Normandy. What this Normandy does, this is the actual thing that does. I think this does the changes, or it's something to do with transferring the spy stuff in and out of the browser. I'm not sure, but this Normandy is like the main thing that helps with the spying. So block profile downgrade, yeah, you might as well. So don't block that downgrade. And then telemetry reporting, just make sure. Well, we know. See, I don't think I have to change this because we already know it's false anyway. We don't want it to be on by default. And the thing is, most people don't care about being spied on because they think it just doesn't matter. And I can understand that. Because when you're lazy, you just think everything's fine because you don't really want to do anything. But this does make a difference. If it didn't, why would Mozilla be writing all this code? So they're obviously writing it for a reason. Right, so we're almost finished. And now we just got to... Yeah, this is the last thing. So when you start up the new Mozilla, you'll find that it'll have like a background. And at the moment, they got some strange woman on it, who you can tell is of maybe a different persuasion. And now, of course, that's what Mozilla wants to promote. Now, you don't want that picture popping up on the front of you've got some like serious professional people and you want to give them a browser. You don't want Mozilla popping up their image in their face. So the way you change that is it's just an image that's in this path. And so all you have to do is just find this path. So it's browser. So it's in browser, components, new tab. Data, content, assets. Right, so this is the image. This is the proton.bkg that they want to push into your face. So I've got my own one that I created, and all it is, it's just an image that you just have to make, and yeah, as you can see, the dimensions have to be 2400 by 1504. And so all I'll do is just take that and just copy it in here. Actually, I want to copy it. So just replace the file and the destination. And so now you won't have that. You won't have Mozilla's image anymore. Whichever person they want to promote, you don't have that now. Just have your own image. Yeah, actually, it won't. I think I need an update, but yeah, if you open it with Firefox, yeah, see, so this is the image I'm using, and so you get to replace. So no longer do I almost call them Microsoft because they are like them. And then the last thing we want is this browser app profile. Right, so in here, what this firefox.js, what it is, it's a file that contains all the default settings, and one of the biggest default terms, of course, is this annoying thing called Pocket. So if you edit this and just do a find, and search for Pocket, you see this section of highlights include Pocket, and Pocket's so annoying. So notice it says true there. So what we're going to do, so the Mozilla nonsense, we're just going to replace it with our own nice version, which doesn't have all the, so replace that. So now, if we check it out now, see what Pocket is saying now. Include Pocket, false. So this And what you have to understand is this is the only way you can change this, because this firefox.js file, this gets burned into the libzol binary. So once you compile it, that's it, this file is gone. And the only way you're going to change the defaults is you got to patch the binary. So no, this is one big reason for compiling your own Firefox, because if you want to get rid of the annoying settings that Mozilla have put into the Firefox, this is how you get rid of it, is in this file. And you can literally chop a whole load of annoying stuff out of it by changing the settings in here. And I mean, I can show you, see, it's just a, it's a JavaScript file, but it's got every single preference. You know when you do about config, this is where all the settings are. So the settings in about config are in here, and I think there's another file as well which contains the rest of it, but this contains most of it. So if you want to have an about config setting, which is a default to what you want, you change it in this file, this firefox.js, before you compile Firefox. That's the important thing, because once you compile it, that's it. There's no changing it after that. So that's it. So we're ready for the big time. So now what we have to do is just do this Mac bootstrap. Now this is going to take a while as well. So what this does is it's going to download a whole lot of stuff. So this is where you need a good internet connection again, and where the antivirus can help out. Disabling antivirus can help out. Right, so we're ready to go. And so like I'm saying it, just saying it again. And alright, so yeah, just to get this part of it. So what we want is number 2. Because the thing about artifact mode is that it doesn't compile everything. So any performance enhancements that you want to put in, the artifacts won't have them. So your compiler won't, the optimizations from your compiler won't be in them. But if you use number 2, that builds the whole thing. So yeah, it'll take a while, but at least everything gets compiled, and the optimizations go into it as well. Okay, so I'm just gonna say that I'm not sure why it's has a problem here, because the thing is the HERC is correct. So what it is, if I go into the, I don't know why it had a problem, but if I go into the repository, so this is Mozilla Unified. Yeah, and then .hg. Yeah, the reason why. Oh, okay. Alright, I think what's happened is like it's deleted all the files. Yeah, that's something you have to watch out for. So I think you have to make sure that the bootstrap is finished before you edit the files. Yes, that's a mistake. Yes, the HERC is correct. So I don't know why it was having a problem. It didn't make any sense. Okay, so as you see, we're stuck on the classic Python 12.5% again. So I'm calling it 12.5% because it's 8 virtual processors. If you had 128 virtual processors, then it would be 0.7 or 0.8. CPUs that Python will be using. And that really doesn't help, obviously. Yeah, so the reality is that if you're using Mercurial still and you haven't switched to Git, then you're going to have to get a single core monster that can run at like 6 gigahertz or something, and then your Python is going to be able to make a little bit of progress with Mercurial. But the other option, of course, is just to get rid of Mercurial and then just get Git, where some of the stuff is multi-threaded, and then all 128 cores can get used. So that obviously was going to make a huge difference compared to a single core running at 0.7 or whatever, or is it 0.6? No, it's probably 0.7% of your CPU. Right, okay, so now it's added the bits that we need. So we pulled it, so I think we just need to, should we do an update? Probably don't need to, since we've already done one. So let's just presume we don't and just go straight to the bootstrap. So we want Firefox for desktop again. Okay, and just to notice that it's Rust version 1.74.0, and because we're using the ESR 102, that Rust 1.74 is not going to work. So once this bootstrap is finished, we're going to have to change the Rust version for it to work. Right, now if I do yes, it might as well do yes because it gets rid of those errors. Yes. But what I'm going to do is just answer no to the questions. Yes, there. So now the one, just do yes for that. Just do no then. It doesn't matter. Do yes. Right, so now it's installing the different files that are needed in order to build Firefox. Okay, so we won't be submitting anything to Mozilla to help them with their spyware. Definitely don't want any telemetry because Mozilla, they worse than Microsoft sometimes. Alright, so now I need to start a new terminal so that the Rust version see, so none of the programs installed are picked up. So what I have to do is close this. And open the so now if I do Rust scene, so it's 174, so now that's too new, so that's not going to work. So what I have to do, so what I did is I just edited the file. So I just want to show you that this So this determines which Firefox works with which version of Rust. So if we go to 102, which we're building, it says so they haven't done these columns very well, but essentially what it's saying is that the column on the left is the one it uses, and then there's a minimum supported Rust version. So 102, minimum is 159, but the version it wants is 1.60.0. So what we do to change that, we just change the default. And so what it does, it just downloads this version. And this is very important because with Rust, they made it so that you have to keep because Mozilla write the Rust and they have a load of programmers working on it, so to give those programmers something to do and so that they can just keep on writing code forever, the Rust keeps updating every few months, and then when it's updated, they use the features from the new one in the Firefox. But then what they do with the Rust compiler, even though it's version 1, and they increment the middle SO, so sorry, the sort of update version, so it's version 1, but it's 0.60, and even though you think the difference between 60 and 74 should be hardly anything, when it comes to Rust, no, Firefox will not compile. So now I've got the right version, which is Rust 1.60.0. So now I'm actually ready to edit the files again. So I did the edits before. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to go through it, and I'll probably just, since I explained it the previous time, I'm just not going to bother this time. So I'm just going to go and do it again, and I'll probably just cut this bit out since I've already done it. And so what you'd have to do is just go back to the previous part where I showed how to just go back to the previous part where I showed how to do the so the first thing to do is you go to undefined. Maybe I don't have to do it after all, because even though it seemed like it deleted the files, but it seems like this is one good thing about Mercurial, is that even when you do a pull, it keeps your changes. Well, that's alright. So I think we're actually okay. So let me just change. Alright, let me just check that the moz.configure is fine. If that is, then I think we're actually okay. So I thought we had deleted all the files. So alright, no, it looks like they're still there, so the changes are still there. So the last thing, I just want to check that the browser yeah, so that's okay. So alright, So what we'll do is, it looks like we're ready to go. So the changes that I put in are still there, and I just want to be sure, because I don't want to have to build it all and then find out that there's one file. Yeah, I think it's the same as well. All important pocket, but make sure that's disabled. Yeah, pocket's false, so we're ready to go. So all we have to do now, yes, we've still got 1.16, and so we're just gonna make sure we're in the right place. So we just type this Mac and let's build, and that's it. So now the build on its way. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I completely forgot about that. Yeah, one last thing I forgot to mention. I don't know why. I think because of all the problems, I just completely forgot about it. So what you have to do is that so you always get rid of the build files. Yeah, one last thing I completely forgot is that oh, actually, yeah, there's one other thing I need to do, is that because I changed the Rust version, it's best to do a Mac bootstrap again, because what happens is, actually I'll edit that in the instructions, because we're using a new version of Rust, and it needs to downgrade the it needs to downgrade the, so we do 2 again. So yeah, you have to go through this twice. So we have to make sure that the version of Rust we're using, see, it says 1.60, matches the Clang. So it might re-download Clang, that's the thing. So just do no, because obviously you run it already. I notice the errors have gone because the configuration has been run. So we don't need to run that again. Okay, so that wasn't too bad. So now the last thing that I forgot to mention was that we need to do the configuration file, and it's called mozconfig. So this is my sort of trusty custom one that I've it's got a few changes on it. So this is what I'm using, and I'm just using this simply because it worked. And as you see, the PGO, I haven't added that. So if you want to check it out, you can uncomment that to see if you can get some extra speed out of it. But all I want to do is just get it to build. So this mozconfig file, just copy it into the ESR directory. I was copying it. So once that's in there, now this will then be used as part of the configuration to also remove some stuff from it as well. And now this will go through, and there's a way you can know if it works, because you get all this text will be scrolling up, and if there's a problem, you'll see the way it stopped before, where it gave you the error. But it'll get to a point where it will stop. If you see it says file already read, that means you've made it. So now it's gonna, after it does this little pause, it's going to start building. And then this is a part where you just go off and do something else while you wait for the build to finish. Now, of course, I'm going to keep the screen recording running, just because when I do it as one long video, it's easier to edit rather than cutting it up. Because if I cut up the recording, then I have to then patch the recording together, which is tedious, and do the audio separate and all that, and it's just annoying. So I prefer to just do one long screen recording and then edit it. So edit just the one file. Yeah, the file's a bit big, but you know, I just find it easier. And as you can see also, that when it comes to clean code, so Mozilla, they're good at writing code, but when it comes to cleaning code, that's when they seem to not really care. So you get a lot of mess scrolling up. But I mean, it's not as bad as some of the other programmers out there who just they just don't bother with trying to fix the warnings. And that's one of the problems with being a commercial company, is that you have to just get the stuff out quick. So if it's full of like a mess, but it compiles, then who cares, as long as you're getting it out and getting the money. If your code's a mess and full of bugs, it doesn't help the end users, but it means at least you can get the money in. And even though Mozilla is open source, they still have to sell their soul to certain companies to get their cash in. Okay, so that's it. So Firefox has compiled, and so now you're going to see if it actually works, or if it just segfaults on startup. Like sometimes, you know, usually when I do Mac run, it works. So I have to admit, Firefox is reliable in that regard. There you go. As you can see, it's loaded up, and it's got my nice background on there. So if you want to have your own background and you don't want the annoying Mozilla stuff, then that's it. And so now, if we go into settings, let's go to, well, the update's still there. So I think there's still some parts that, let's go privacy. Yeah, it seems like the part about, because there's supposed to be a part in here relating to them sending, alright, Firefox technical, I don't know, it seems like it's still there, because this part I think is supposed to disappear. No, I don't know, maybe it's just to do with the way. But anyway, obviously what I've done is had some effect, because if we do a new tab, alright, it looks like it didn't go like I thought, because for some reason the pocket is still enabled. I wonder why. No, because actually this worked before. I'll show you, let me see. This did actually work, because let me see. So the image one worked. I'm not sure why because I did it before and it did actually remove pockets. I don't know why it hasn't removed it. So. Oh yeah, well, one other thing I just want to add is that you can also package it as well. Okay, for some reason that so map package is not working. It worked before, but that's just another command you can use, and it will create like a it'll create it for you, so that you can, like a zip file, so that you can install it. But if you want to actually know where the actual binary itself is, and if you go to this, and I think it's, well, I don't know why it gave that error, because this is it. So it did actually create the package. So what you can do is, if you, so it's a zip file, and then if you just copy that out, then if you open the zip file, it has Firefox in it. So you pull that out. And if you open it up, you've got all the files it needs. And yeah, there's not much there, because like I say, it's built into the binary. At least it should be. Yeah. So you won't find anything where it's got any settings you can change, because as you can see, this is zol.dll. This is a monster. See, it's 119 megabytes. So this is the monster that contains just about everything. And then of course the Firefox, look, it's just a tiny little application. So if you run that, there you have it. Yeah, for some reason, I don't know, maybe I'll have to dig into why, because for sure it did work. I remember when I changed the defaults, this all disappeared. So it just becomes blank, because you just chop everything away, which is, of course, is what I wanted. But for some reason, it was just ignoring it. But as you see, at least it changed the background anyway. So that's one result. And so hopefully someone will find that useful and maybe actually build their own browser so that they can get away from all this Mozilla spyware stuff as well. Okay, so this is just a quick addition to the to the same video. I'm not going to do it in a separate part because there's no point, because it's just pretty quick. And what it is to say is that at the end, just at the end there, you notice when I did the Mac run, the browser still came up with the normal, like the snippets and the Pocket. And it turned out that the Pocket extension had been disabled, but it just seems that it wasn't fully disabled. So what I'm just going to show you is that what I hadn't done is, even though I disabled it in the code, and with the build commands to remove the telemetry, well, hopefully anyway, but it didn't change anything in the actual configuration. So I was telling you about this firefox.js file. So if we just open this, what it is that what I needed to do was to actually remove, because this is the default configuration for the browser. So what I should have done is actually removed them from here as well. Because you see with Firefox, you have two sides to the configuration. One is in code, in the C files, C++ files, and the other part is in the JavaScript. And so this is the JavaScript part, because that I'm going to be adjusting. So all you have to do is just do Control F, and then just do a find. And then if you do a find for just the word telemetry, then all you have to do is is go through, and you see this one says it's false, so don't worry about that. So just keep on going through to find all the references to telemetry. And if you see anything that says true, then just change it to false. And so what you do is just let's just make a copy of that. So we'll do it telemetry. So we're just looking for anything that says telemetry. Alright, so as you can see, there's loads of telemetry here. I mean, that's all. And notice how so much of it is set to true, because Mozilla, they just love their spying, because I think this is just a standard thing with these corporations. Is that they now think that life is just about trying to, because obviously it started with Google, because once Google showed that you can make money from spying on people, everyone now has jumped on that bandwagon as if spying, spying on people is just the most. Yeah, I think we've done all of it now. Yeah, I think it's wrapped around, if I notice. So just keep going until it wraps. Yeah, so that's it. So that's telemetry. So the next word you're looking for is actually top stories, because that's why that annoying section appeared. And so so essentially anything that's with top stories in it, you just want to disable them as well. These are also, because top stories is just stuff that Mozilla wants to brainwash you with. So they'll tell you what you're supposed to. They're essentially telling you what you're supposed to be looking at. They don't want you to look for your own news, but you section. I mean, admittedly, it's not top stories, but wherever top stories is the main one. Yeah, so these highlights, yeah, so get rid of the pocket. Section highlight rows. Well, yes, it's only really top stories, so it's only these two that you really need. Top sites rows, yeah, top sites is okay. Let's just keep going. Yeah, so get rid of the top stories there. I think it's wrapped around. So then the last thing you want is, of course, a good old friend Pocket. Let's include Pocket false. Save the Pocket false. Yeah. Alright, so yeah, so this is the extension. So yeah, so Pocket was already false because I already disabled that. Yeah, so I think we've done now. But you see, what you can do is you can go through this file. I mean, it's a pretty big file, so these are the only ones I really want to look for. And if you find anything else that you think is annoying, then all you have to do is change it in this file. Yeah, I think we've gone around, haven't we? false, isn't it? Yeah, so that's back to the top. So now that, so it's best to save this file outside, because just in case you delete the source, then you lose any changes that you've made. And so what you do is, if you, I edited this file just on the desktop, which is this one. And so if you just save that, and so what you now have to do is, in these two locations, so this is where the one is that's from the main source. So this is the only one you really have to change. So it's browser app profiles Firefox. So let's find that. Yeah, so browser app profile firefox.js. So this this file, what you want to do is to take the one that we've edited and then just copy it in here and definitely replace that file. And now see, this file now is not it's been copied into the build location. So you have to find where the build location is, which is this object directory, and it's inside there. And so it's this bin browser. Default preference. Right, so what it is, you're not going to edit this file. All you have to do is just trying to see what do you have. This bin browser. Yeah, what I'll do is just delete this, the whole of the browser, just in case. So delete. Because anything you delete in the object directory is not a problem, because it gets recreated. And then we just need to go back to our build. And then what we do is just run Mac build again. And what it'll do is it'll copy the edited one, the one that we edited, back in there. I mean, I'll show you that once it's finished. And now what it is, this isn't going to take like forever, because all it's doing is going to go through what's there, and anything that's missing, it'll just recreate it. I mean, to tell you the truth, I could have deleted. I probably should have deleted all of dist. Now, because I think dist is actually created. Well, anyway. Yeah, see, it's linked, it's built Firefox XE already. So the reason why it's taking a while is because it has to go through every single directory to check if the file is there. And if it's not, then it has to copy it across, or it has to build it. So it takes a while to trawl its way through. Yeah, see, now it's linking zol.dll. See, because this monster is what contains everything. And so that firefox.js file gets built into this zol.dll. So if you want to make some changes, you better make those changes before this file is linked. Because once this file is linked, that's it. You're not making any changes anymore. And whatever settings that you've set, that's it. They're not going to change until you rebuild it. And the fact that it linked it means that we're okay and we haven't messed anything up. So now we just have to wait for it to finish going through everything else, just to check that the other files have been built. once it's finished checking that, that should be it. Okay, I'm not sure what happened there, but for some reason I had to press return, but I don't know why. It made no sense. Alright, so now let's take the build for a test run like it says. Although actually I just realized the other thing to do is from the previous build there's a there's a temp directory which is left over. Yeah, so you just want to get rid of this so that it gets all the settings from the you know, the what you just built, and doesn't use any of the previous settings. There you go. So let's see what happens. Let's do a new tab, and there you have it. So I left these ones in, but notice the top stories are gone, isn't it? So that's the important thing. So no top stories there. And yeah, you could get rid of this bar, but I mean, yeah, this bar is pretty harmless because it doesn't print like stuff up from Mozilla. So as you can see, if you want to actually, you know, properly, how can you say, adjust the Firefox so that it operates like how you want, this is the way to do it. If you download Firefox from Mozilla, then forget it. It's just a telemetry and advertising, well, not advertising, but telemetry and opinion platform. So Firefox keeps putting what the news they want you to see in your face. But if you actually work out how to actually compile your own Firefox, then you can get rid of that. And the good thing about it is that every time you start Firefox up with a new user, so you can have 10 users on your computer, all using Firefox, and all 10 users, when they start Firefox up, they won't get any of that sort of Mozilla nonsense in their face. But what they get is whatever you want to see instead. So you can be in control of your browser and get away from these annoying corporations. And remember, Firefox has always been open source. So the point of Firefox is not for Mozilla to control it anyway. If they want to control it, then they make it closed source and they won't give you the source so you can build it. But the fact that you've got the source that can build it means that this is something that really more people should be doing.